What if the pain you carry isn't just a memory, but a prison built by the manipulations of narcissists and the relentless pressure of organized stalking? Imagine waking up every day surrounded by invisible walls constructed by those who seek to control, surveil, and isolate you. The most difficult truth about trauma, especially when it's inflicted by narcissistic abuse or organized stalking, is that it's not just about what happened to you. It's about what happens inside you afterward, the way your mind is rewired by constant manipulation, surveillance, and fear. Trauma from these abuses transforms your inner world, turning your thoughts into both prison bars and prison guards. Narcissists and stalkers shape your reality, making you question your own perceptions, trapping you in cycles of self-doubt and hypervigilance. The mind becomes a prison, where the past is replayed and the abuser's voice echoes as your own inner critic. Your thoughts become the warden, enforcing the rules of fear, shame, and isolation. Rules written by those who manipulated and stalked you. These thoughts decide what you can feel, what you can do, and what you must fear. Even after the abuse ends, when the external threat is gone, the mind keeps looping the memory, replaying the trauma as if it's still happening. You search for control, desperately trying to rewrite the past or prevent it from happening again. But the loop only tightens. This survival mechanism meant to protect you becomes a cage, trapping you in cycles of fear, anxiety, and obsessive reflection. Shame, fear, and relentless self-analysis. These are the bars forged by abusers, reinforced by your own mind. The brain, wired for safety, gets stuck replaying the trauma, scanning for threats, hoping to prevent the uncontrollable. But this loop solves nothing. It's a hamster wheel of anxiety, deepening the pain and making the memory more vivid, as if it happened yesterday. You're not just remembering, you're reliving, experiencing the same emotions and sensations, trapped in your own consciousness by the echoes of abuse. The inner warden disguises itself as a helpful guide, convincing you that endless replay and rumination will reveal a way out, but it's just another illusion of control. This false sense of agency keeps you tethered to the past, draining your energy and leaving you exhausted, even as you recognize the cycle's destructive nature. Recognizing these patterns, understanding that trauma responses are natural reactions to unnatural abuse, not personal failings, is the first step toward freedom. The mind can be its own warden, but it also holds the key to liberation, the power to unlock the prison and step into the light. Trauma loops don't form in isolation. They're often weaponized by abusers. Narcissists create environments of instability and gaslighting, priming your brain for obsessive thinking. Each lie or betrayal is a micro-trauma, conditioning you to self-blame. When the major betrayal comes, your mind is already programmed to obsess over what you did wrong. Organized stalking works similarly, using ambiguous threats to keep you hyper-vigilant and isolated. The real damage happens when your mind takes over the torment, looping on fear and doubt. The abuser steps back. Your own thoughts do the work. This is why these abuses are so damaging. They hijack your mind, turning it against you. Trauma loop imprinting. It's a term we use to describe how deeply traumatic experiences can affect the brain. These experiences don't just fade away, they leave a lasting mark on our neural pathways. It's like slamming a heavy object into soft clay. Imagine the force, the impact, and the immediate change in the clay's form, leaving a deep, lasting groove in your brain. This groove represents the altered neural pathways, the changes in how your brain processes information and responds to stimuli. Traumatic memories are burned in, etched into the very fabric of your being, by stress hormones, which flood the system during moments of intense fear and anxiety. These hormones act like a chemical accelerant, solidifying the memory in a way that's different from ordinary experiences, bypassing normal memory systems. The hippocampus, responsible for organizing and storing memories in a chronological order, is often sidelined during trauma. Instead of being filed away, neatly categorized and stored for later retrieval, they're stored as raw, unprocessed data, fragmented sensations, sights, sounds, smells, emotions, all jumbled together. In the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, which is responsible for threat detection and survival responses. That's why trauma feels so viscerally real and immediate, like it's happening now in the present moment, triggering the same intense emotional and physical reactions as the original event. Not just a memory, safely tucked away in the past, It's a living, breathing experience that can be triggered by seemingly innocuous stimuli. The brain keeps replaying, stuck in a loop, the event over and over again, trying to process it, to make sense of the overwhelming experience, but only deepens the groove, reinforcing the traumatic memory and making it even more difficult to escape. Each loop strengthens, solidifies the neural pathway, making it the brain's default response, making the trauma more automatic, a reflexive reaction to perceived threats, and ever present, a constant undercurrent of anxiety and fear. This neurological scar tissue, this lasting impact on the brain, changes how you see the world, coloring your perceptions and interpretations, leaving you on high alert, constantly scanning for danger, even when there is none, or shut down, emotionally numb and disconnected from yourself and others. Every new experience, every interaction is filtered through past pain, through the lens of trauma. Trauma literally rewires, fundamentally alters your brain, changing its structure and function, in response to overwhelming events as a survival mechanism. Understanding this helps you realize you're not broken, fundamentally flawed. Your brain adapted to survive, did what it needed to in order to protect you. But these adaptations, these survival strategies, while protective in the moment, can become maladaptive scars, hindering your ability to thrive in the present. Recognizing this, acknowledging the impact of trauma, is the first step to healing, to rewriting those neural pathways and reclaiming your life. Trauma loops are activated by emotional recall. Anchors triggers your brain links to the original event. A smell, a sound, a feeling, any of these can unlock the full force of the trauma. Your brain fuses these details with the original fear, so encountering them later launches you back into the loop. Often you don't even realize what triggered you, your body reacts before your mind can catch up. This can create anxiety about the anxiety itself, deepening the loop. Healing means identifying and desensitizing these anchors, teaching your brain that the present is safe. This is how you reclaim your life from the grip of the past. Trauma loops aren't just triggered by external events or reminders, they can also arise seemingly from within. These loops, born from past experiences, can unexpectedly surface, coloring our present moments with echoes of the past. They become reflexes through repetition entrainment, a process where repeated exposure wires the brain to automatically revert to these patterns. Like a well-worn path, the trauma loop becomes the brain's default response. At first, replaying the trauma might feel like a conscious choice, a deliberate revisiting of the past. You might believe you're gaining insight or control by analyzing the events. Feels like a choice, a conscious decision to delve into those memories, perhaps seeking understanding or closure. But over time, with each replay, it becomes automatic, an ingrained habit of the mind. The line between choice and compulsion blurs. The brain, seeking efficiency, always looking for the easiest and quickest route, defaults to the trauma loop as the most readily available response, the path of least resistance. Whenever there's mental space, a moment of quietude, the loop rushes in to fill the void. Your baseline state sinks, aligning itself to the rhythm of fear, the anxiety, the hypervigilance that the trauma loop perpetuates. And shame, the self-blame and negative self-perception that often accompany traumatic experiences. Even on good days, when things are going well and you feel a sense of peace, the loop intrudes, disrupting the calm and pulling you back into the vortex of the past. Needing no external trigger, operating on its own internal programming, the mind tricks itself, creating the illusion into thinking this rumination is productive, that you're actively solving a problem or gaining clarity. But it only deepens the groove, reinforcing the neural pathways and making the loop even more entrenched. True healing comes from actively creating new insights, developing a fresh understanding of yourself and your experiences, and breaking the pattern of rumination, disrupting the cycle of negative thoughts and emotions, interrupting the loop, consciously choosing to step away from the repetitive thoughts, redirecting your focus, even briefly, to something else, anything that pulls you out of the cycle, builds new neural pathways, creating alternative routes for your thoughts to travel. With practice, this becomes the new reflex, a healthier, more adaptive response to triggers and stress. Weakening the old loop, diminishing its power and influence over your thoughts and emotions. Each small redirection, each conscious choice to break the cycle, is a step toward freedom, a move away from the grip of the past and toward a more empowered present. Over time, the loop's grip loosens, allowing you to reclaim your mental space and live more fully in the present moment. Trauma isn't just in your mind, it's in your body too. Bioecho binding means the emotional echo of trauma is stored physically, creating real symptoms. Chronic tension, digestive issues, fatigue. These are signs your body is stuck in survival mode. The body's alarm system keeps signaling danger, pulling your mind back into the trauma loop. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle between mind and body. Healing must involve the body, not just the mind. Somatic therapies like trauma-informed yoga or EMDR help release these echoes. By allowing your body to complete its protective responses, you teach your nervous system that the threat is over. The body can finally let go. This is essential for true recovery. Trauma loops create a psychological echo chamber, amplifying fear, shame, and powerlessness. The loop convinces you that your past defines your present and future, breeding helplessness. Cognitive distortions, catastrophizing, black and white thinking, personalization, reinforce this illusion. Isolation makes it worse, cutting you off from voices that could challenge the loop. Breaking free starts with letting in outside light, sharing your story with someone safe. Speaking your truth out loud cracks the chamber's walls. Compassionate responses from others weaken the loop's power. You realize you're not alone, and healing is possible. This is the first step back to yourself. Deprogramming the trauma loop means reclaiming your neurological sovereignty. It's not about erasing the memory, but changing your relationship to it. Bottom-up strategies: breathing, mindfulness, movement, calm the body and signal safety to the brain. Top-down strategies: CBT, DBT, challenge negative thoughts and rewrite your internal narrative. This is a practice requiring patience and self-compassion. The goal is to cultivate a compassionate inner observer who notices the loop without being swept away. This inner voice can say, "That's the trauma talking, not the truth." With time, the warden becomes a wise guide, leading you out of the loop. You regain control over your mind and your life. This is the heart of healing. Awareness is powerful, but action is what heals. The path forward is about daily, deliberate choices to deprogram the loops and rebuild safety. Progress isn't linear. Some days are harder than others, but every step counts. Build your healing toolkit. Find what calms you, grounds you, and helps you process. Make a list of go-to strategies for when you feel triggered. Connection is vital. Healing happens in community, not isolation. Reach out to safe people, support groups, or therapists. Let others' empathy counter your inner critic. Share this knowledge to help others break their own loops. If this resonated, like, subscribe, and share. It could be the light someone else needs. Your action can help shatter another's echo chamber.